Where to even start with Outbreak? Outbreak is the first map of Exo Zombies, which was Sledgehammer Games' answer to a Zombies mode. Sledgehammer Games had the undoubtedly terrifying and daunting task of creating the first ever Zombies mode, which was not developed by Treyarch. Outbreak provides a very unique gameplay experience, balances itself in the middle of the road in terms of not only the map, but also the mode as a whole. This map and mode is exactly where you can start to see the change of direction in the mode as a whole. We continue our slow march towards modern day zombies, and Exo Zombies, starting with Outbreak, gives us some of the crucial components to that mode that I'm sure most people would forget actually came from Exo Zombies and not from Treyarch. Welcome back to the Zombies Ranking series, where we go through and review each and every Zombies map that has ever been made. In today's episode, we start with the very first non-Treyarch map and mode in the history of Zombies. Exo Zombies is a mode I am very excited to talk about, as some of these maps are super controversial. It really is a super interesting topic to discuss. As usual, when we start off with a new game, any of the new mechanics that are seen as either positive or negative get attributed to the first map of the new game. Before we get into it, if you do enjoy these videos, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment to let me know your thought on Exo Zombies as a whole. And if you want to see my thoughts on any of the other maps, check the link below. Now, let's get straight into Outbreak. As usual, we're going to go through the systemic changes first. This first map probably has one of the largest jumps in terms of quality of life features compared to anything that's come before. There are some massive systemic changes to Zombies here that actually get carried forward into a number of future games, which speaks volumes to the quality of the changes that are present here. The first thing I would like to talk about, a massive positive, is of course the change from a 2-hit down system to a 3. Since World at War up until Black Ops 2, a major issue with the Zombies was something called windmilling, where the zombies would hit the player twice in rapid succession in like a windmill fashion. While this was not an issue in the later rounds once you had Jug, and it played into the risk-reward factor of going for a knife kill on these early rounds, a lot of players, especially newer players, found this to be a little bit unfair and extremely punishing, as the player had little to no time to react to the zombies' attacks. In comes Outbreak on Exo Zombies, upping the player's HP to around 150, allowing for one additional hit from zombies, making the early rounds a breeze and allowing you to more consistently reach them high rounds without having to restart from the very beginning. I absolutely love this change, and I think it's very telling that the next game in the series, Black Ops 3, kept this change around, and it has been present in nearly every game since. Another massive quality of life feature that never gets talked about from Outbreak is the removal of the perk limit. The player now has the ability to buy every perk that is available on the map. This is the first time in the history of Zombies that the player could consistently get all of the perks on the map without having to complete either a side quest or use pay-to-win consumables. This to me is a great change to the core game of Zombies, but unfortunately it is not a change that is kept by the other developers until much later in the mode's life cycle. We of course have the exosuit as the headlining feature for this mode, which gives the player access to a whole new arsenal of abilities, from jumps, slides, and stronger knives. The exosuit really does feel like a super suit, especially when you're using it against the zombies and not the other superpowered players like in the multiplayer. The exosuit really allows players to show off their skills and enables a form of mastery to the game and its mechanics. The exosuit does, of course, come with some major drawbacks, but that will be discussed in the enemy section of this video. There's one massive glaring drawback that I'm sure everyone is already aware of. As a whole, the exosuits are a great and fun addition to this Zombies mode, and they make for a great headlining gimmick / feature. Downing has also been updated in this iteration of Zombies to make the mode feel more fair and interesting for players that go down on later rounds. Players no longer lose every perk on their character. Instead, the perks will slowly start to degrade the longer the player is left on the ground. If you are fast in being picked up, you will only lose one perk. If you're too slow, you will lose everything. This is a fantastic feature that enables more risk-reward gameplay and encourages teamwork. A near identical iteration of this can be found in Cold War and Black Ops 6. It's a massive positive for the game as a whole. My biggest negative when it comes to the new additions to the core game is of course none other than the weapon upgrade system. Instead of paying a flat fee of 5,000 points once for a massive upgrade in power, we pay 2,500 20 to 25 times for a tiny increase in power range each time. I understand the fundamentals of why they designed the system as it is and what they were aiming for, but honestly it's just a failed experiment. It just doesn't work. The upgrades to this are minuscule, and the weapons are far too weak for a system like this to work. If it maybe made every gun viable to round 100 as you progress it up to the Mark 25 weapons, then it could work. But in its current iteration, it doesn't work. Mark 20 to 25 weapons feel nearly identical to Mark 2 weapons. The only difference is the tiny upgrade in weapons and the attachments. And speaking of the attachments, one of the cooler aspects of this system, I do have to admittedly say, is the fact that you get new attachments every couple of rounds of upgrading the marks. Like Mark 4, Mark 10, Mark 15, you get new attachments, more ammo, more a sight, the laser sight. It's cool. It's fun exploring what you can unlock on each weapon, but aside from that, the system is a failure to its core, and it is massively holding not only this map, but the future of the mode back. The final major addition to the core game itself that I feel the need to mention is the map, consumables, and interactables. Throughout the map, there are these little monitors which you can interact with to get points. The largest I've ever seen very rarely was 1000, but typically it's around 100. This is great if you are in a pinch and see one of these ATM machines, which can potentially save your life. Next up, we also have these little drones that drop in. These drops fly onto the map and can be claimed by the player in order to get these unique power-ups like turrets, rocket drones, and camouflage. This system's really cool and unique to this mode as far as I'm aware. Giving the players these random consumable adds a nice layer of new random behavior that can help benefit the players' game. I think these two optional systems really add a lot to the experience of Exo Zombies, and that is a major props to Sledgehammer for adding them. Next, we're going to talk about the map's layout and design. The map actually has a very interesting design to it visually. There's a lot of cool details and creepy aesthetics to it if you decide to go through it slowly and actually explore the map. Two rooms that stuck out to me the most were the exosuit room and the morgue. Both of these rooms just felt like they told a bit of a mini story. These bodies are being experimented on. Is this what caused the outbreak? Is this where the creatures came from? Just questions like this that'll get you, the player, to start asking questions of the map, to start putting pieces together, like classic zombies, really. Areas of the map that ask these questions of the player or make the player think a little bit deeper are always nice on the maps, in my opinion. It's been the same since, like, the original maps. I also think there's something really unique about the Atlas facilities compared to the older facilities. They aren't like Group 935, Omega, or Requiem facilities of the other maps and other games. These facilities, like Outbreak and the last map on this game, they're sleek and they're very clean. Advanced and futuristic all at the same time. I feel like this actually works to the game's advantage. The fact that these areas are so clean and futuristic looking makes it look more out of place when an outbreak does occur, leading to a creep factor on the map. Overall, I really like the design of the rooms and the visuals of the map. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same about the layout of the map at all, though. For the first map of a brand new Zombies game, with a massive change in core gameplay with the addition of the exosuit, you would think that Sledgehammer would want you to experience it. Instead, the map is made up of cramped corridors where you can hardly get off a single jump before you hit your head, and there is little to no opportunity to use your sideways dash abilities. I understand wanting to allow players to warm themselves up with a basic simplistic map. That's why I'm not downgrading it for being simplistic, to warm up to the new abilities. But I have to say this is the wrong way to go about it. Only having one area where the exosuit can be used efficiently means that is where the players will spend most of their time. And that all of the cool, unique rooms and features that had a lot of time and effort put into them by the developers are actually just going to be missed. They're never going to be visited by the player. This can be even seen in my gameplay where I spend most of my time out at the back of the map right by spawn. So while I like the design and the visuals of the map, I actually think the layout really, really holds the map back. I'm just going to quickly talk about the characters next. This section is going to be rather quick, but I did want to briefly touch on our new 4 characters that are introduced for this game. Decker's probably my favourite of the group, as every time I play as him, I just think of Shane from The Walking Dead. Like that scene where he goes, "Let me tell you something, Rick," constantly plays in my mind as I play in him, just because of how he speaks. He really is just playing like Shane, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but he sounds like him. Oz, of course, is a classic character. How could you not like Oz and his classic line of, "I fucking hate the Atlas Corporation"? I remember as a kid, I thought Oz was so edgy and cool. He used to be my absolute favorite for this game mode because it was the first I actually owned, like, myself. The business guy, I actually have no idea what his name is. Reginald? No, sorry, it's Khan. I had to actually look it up. This guy is very forgettable, and Honestly, I think he's the carver of this game. There's nothing to say about Khan. I do not like Khan. Lilith is interesting. She very much had potential as a character in the story, and the relationship she builds with some of the other characters lead to interesting drama. I actually find myself caring about her, but unfortunately she's absolutely overshadowed by the other two characters in the game. Overall, I like the majority of these characters on show here, and I think the story that they find themselves in is interesting, but Khan as a whole brings the group down as he is such a nothing character. Next, we're just going to briefly talk about the enemies. There are so many enemies in this mode, like a staggering amount of enemies, especially towards the end of this mode's life cycle. I think on this map alone, we have upwards to 8 to 10 enemy types off the top of my head. I will quickly go through them and give my thoughts at the end. So we have the standard zombies like in every other iteration. Then we have the exosuit zombie, a standard zombie with an exosuit that can leap and lunge at you. Then we have the EMZ, electromagnetic zombies that can disable your exosuit if you are within a certain range of it and you use it. Fuck this enemy, fuck this enemy, fuck this enemy. Exploder is a zombie that can explode when you're in range of a player. You can also use it to your advantage by exploding it next to zombies and it will kill them. A charger is a more aggressive form of the Exo Zombies that are red. You'll see them in the gameplay. A host is the special round where you get hit. You have a minute to go to the decontamination pod or you will become a zombie yourself. Defeating the round will also grant you a max ammo. And EMZ dogs are dogs that disable your exosuit. And there's just also normal dogs as well. I don't know why I have them flipped around. This is just a taste of what the later maps have in store for you. All of this on the very first map of a brand new game is insane. I actually do have to give Sledgehammer Game props for this, as it is nearly impossible these days to get unique, normal, standard zombie variants off Treyarch and Modern Zombies. Everything is just boss zombies. In this game, there's standard zombie variants, which makes the moment-to-moment gameplay a bit more hectic, and there's a bit more thought put into it, but of course some of these just don't land. I can see where Sledgehammer was going with some of these zombies, but there are some major issues, mainly with the EMZ variants. EMZ spawn in massive numbers in later rounds, and pretty much constantly disabling your exosuit. This is a massive issue, and was what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned that there was an issue with the exosuit. You're just constantly getting that ugly exo disabled static on your screen because your exosuit is constantly disabled by these EMZs. If the numbers were cut down to like 3 to 5 EMZs around, they would add a nice challenge about how you have to prioritize killing them, but as they are now, they're just annoying and ruin the fundamental gameplay mechanics of the mode. The host zombie is also kind of annoying, but that is mainly because there's only one decontamination zone on this map. If there was more, they would not be as frustrating to deal with. Overall, the enemies are a minor negative because of the EMZ, but I will give Sledgehammer Games props for trying to make unique and interesting zombies to fight throughout the rounds. The final major discussion point I want to have is about the Easter egg, so we're talking about the Easter egg now. This Easter egg, for a first attempt by another studio to create something like what Treyarch creates, is a good attempt, and it works mostly. There are a few steps that really bother me when completing this Easter egg, though. Mostly that of the step where the player goes into the trash compactor to find the security card. I just find the card incredibly difficult to see, and it's a very frustrating step. I don't like not being able to see stuff in video games. It really is a big issue to me. I don't like it. My second least favorite step is getting the alternate ending, which I know is optional, but it's also the best ending. When the player gets the 4 main key cards, they are tasked with collecting 45 other key cards from killing zombies. If these zombies are killed with melee for all 45 key cards, the player can activate the alternative ending that allows the characters to survive and escape. If you kill any zombie within that 45 and pick up a key card, that's it, you failed. You automatically get the other ending. So even if you get 44 and your last key card was an accidental zombie, you're done. You've messed up and you get the normal one. It is cool though. The cool thing about this is that it's an Easter egg with 2 alternate endings, similar to Mob of the Dead, but a little bit more involved than that. My issue with this is that it's super finicky and time consuming, and I just don't love how you get it. Overall, I love that there is 2 endings to the Easter egg, and I think it's a solid attempt at an Easter egg, but unfortunately these 2 steps really hold it back from being a great Easter egg. I just have a few final closing points. Here's 2 small points that I didn't think would fit into any other section, but I really wanted to mention. The new grenades in this mode are fantastic, and they make a massive difference to the gameplay experience. The impact grenades are crazy powerful and are a must when you're playing this mode, and the nano swarm grenades will save your ass more than you would think. They are insanely good, the nano swarm grenades. Try these grenades out next time you play. And finally, I have one last negative. The perks in this game are just really, really bad. I know and I'm happy that there's no perk limit, but the perks are just bad. We have Quick Revive, Speed Cut, and Jug from the classic game, and they're fine. They work as expected. The two new ones, Exo Soldier and Exo Slam, are just not very good. Both of these are kind of useless, and the perks stay pretty much the same throughout the rest of the game. There's no new additions, nothing. It's just these 5. It's a pity, but the perks available are just super disappointing. And now we're at the conclusion. So overall, I think this first outing of Exo Zombies and the first ever non-Treyarch Zombies mode, I think it's perfectly fine. Like, it's acceptable. It really reminds me of like a Noct or Verruct kind of playstyle. The upgrade system is nowhere near as good as the classic Pack-a-Punch system, and it really drags the mode as a whole down. But unfortunately, as it was introduced on this map, the negative points have to be given to it here. This map is fun, the characters are okay, and the Easter egg is perfectly serviceable, but unfortunately the missteps in design, weapon upgrades, and them stupid EMZs stop this map from excelling. I have no other choice than to place this map in C tier, above Nuketown, but below Verruct. Thank you so much for watching. Next time I'll be continuing on with Exo Zombies, looking at Infection, a map that was absolutely destroyed on its launch. Was the hate valid? Is the map really that bad? Find out next time. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, let me know if you enjoyed, and of course subscribe to stay up to date with the series. I will see you all in the next one.